Alright, so James again, and it's time to install the window shade here in the kitchen. I wanted to start off by first saying this is a little different from some of the other installations. The bracket that we're going to be using has a bolt with a wing nut on it, which is going to fit into a slot on either side of the shade here. So first thing I'm going to do before I hold my shade up like the instructions say is I'm going to give myself some guide measurements. First, what I'm going to do is step over my handy dandy step stool, which I'm very happy to have here. And we are going to measure 1.5 inches on either side to give me where I want the shade to be centered on the window. So measure that, put a mark there. And you can be a little bit generous with these marks, a little Windex wipes pencil right off of your painted wood. Then I'm going to measure 2 inches up, which gives me the height where I want the shade to be based on my measurements from when I submitted my order. So 2 inches up, gives me right about there. Alright, I'm going to do that same thing on the other side so I can center my blind and have it be level and not fall off my footstool, which is kind of hard here. And 2 inches up. Alright. Now that I have my measurements for guiding me, the instructions say to hold the blind up, and that will let you mark where your slots are going to be. Now I would suggest drawing all the way across where the slot is. It's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, it's 2 inches, and that'll give you a little room to where you want to put your bracket. So let's hold the blind up here. Make sure it doesn't hang down. There we go. Line it up on my 1.5 inch marks and my 2 inch mark. And then this one's a little tricky. Press against the wood to keep it from running away from you. And a real nice big mark where you want your slats to be for screwing those brackets in. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take one of these brackets. I would suggest taking the wing nut off to give yourself a little room to move here. Alright, wing nut gone. Now we're going to hold the bracket up and we're going to mark where these screw holes should go for where we're going to drill. Now I like to do mine on a diagonal. You have 2 screws per bracket. So I'm just going to hold it up in the middle of the line, roughly, make sure that it's as level as I can get it. And then I'm going to put some holes, mark them on diagonal, then take it to the other side, put it roughly in the center of where my line was, and mark the, there we go. I'm actually going to darken those a little bit more so I make sure I see them when I got my drill. And there we go. Alright, now they say to use a 1/16 inch bit. I'm using a little bit bigger. I'm using a 5/64, just because I've got some old wood and it's a little harder to screw into that wood. So I want to give myself a nice big starter hole so I don't crack my 70-year-old molding. So let us do some drilling. Line this up and in here. Alright. Now before I put my bracket in, I'm going to get rid of that pencil because I don't need it anymore. The little multi-surface cleaner. Apparently got the wrong multi-surface cleaner. There. This is the multi-surface cleaner. Alright, one line disappeared without no problem. And that one, there we go. Well, elbow grease does the trick every time. So I'll throw that away a little bit later. Now, they say to use a hand screwdriver, and all the images show a hand screwdriver, but if you haven't seen my other videos, I'm a fan of the horsepower. So we're going to take that bracket. Remember to take the wing nut off, gives yourself some room to move. Take the 2 screws out of the plastic pouch provided for you. Eat one of them. Don't eat one of them. But it makes it a little easier. It'd be nice if you had somebody to hand you the screws so you don't have to get up and down. And there we go. Now I don't screw in all the way on the first one. So it gives me some area to move the bracket around and make sure I can line up with the next hole. And get that started. A little horsepower here. And voila! One of the brackets is in. Feels pretty sturdy. Take the wing nut off of the other bracket. We'll move the footstool over. Alright, second bracket's going in here. Leave it a little loose, put in the other screw. Whoop. And there we go. Now what we do to install the shade is we are going to lift the shade up into the bolt and then screw the wing nut on under it. Now I have never done this before. I'm not a trained professional, so here's hoping I can juggle a few wing nuts and some Bali natural shades at the same time without opening them up into my sink or breaking my or falling off. Sounds like I'm having a successful time already. All right. One wing nut. Uh-oh. Not a problem. Now there's a little bit of Velcro on either side, so you can't just slide it on horizontally. That's not a problem. You can always slide it around and dip one side lower. All right. There we go. Both wing nuts are on. Just give them a little wrenching and make sure that it is level so I don't get yelled at by my girlfriend Emily. Alright, there we go. Now they also include some nifty little end pieces so you don't have your hardware showing. So we'll Velcro that onto either side as part of our valence here. And there we go. Now, for my favorite part. Privacy. It works, it looks beautiful. There's a little bit of a gap here at the bottom, and that's actually supposed to be there over time. The way that the shade is constructed, it'll stretch out a little bit. There's a little pamphlet in your box that will explain that, so don't get worried that you did your installation wrong. It'll simply stretch out and fill that gap. So here I am. There's my window, and there's my shade. Thanks for watching.